Elias never forgets, and he never let go. When Sarah, Lily, and Maya moved into their new apartment, they were ecstatic. It was a rare find, spacious, affordable, and located in a quiet part of the city. The old brick building had a certain charm, with ivy crawling up its facade and a cozy courtyard lit by the flickering antique lamps. Sure, the neighbors seemed a bit reclusive, but that was a bonus. Privacy was priceless. The three of them had been best friends since college, and this felt like the beginning of a new chapter. But the excitement didn't last. The first sign that something was wrong came the night they moved in. Sarah was unpacking when she noticed her bedroom window wouldn't lock properly. As she fiddled with it, she swore she saw a shadow move across the courtyard below. It was late, and the dim light made it hard to tell if anyone was there. She shrugged it off, blaming her overactive imagination. A few days later, they met their only neighbor, a man in his early 30s who lived in the unit directly across from theirs, apartment 4C. His name was Elias, and he was tall, pale, and unnervingly handsome. His dark hair was neatly combed back, and his piercing gray eyes seemed to look straight through you. "I'm not home much," he said with a faint smile when they introduced themselves. "But let me know if you need anything." His voice was smooth and almost hypnotic. Maya blushed and stammering something about borrowing sugar, but Sarah felt uneasy. Something about him didn't sit right. Over the next few weeks, strange things began happening. Sarah noticed that no matter how tightly they closed their curtains, they would always be slightly open in the morning. Lily complained of waking up with some inexplicable bruises on her arms, as if someone had grabbed her in her sleep. And Maya began having vivid nightmares of a figure standing at the foot of her bed, its shadow stretching unnaturally long across the room. One night, while the three of them were watching a movie, the power went out. Lily grabbed the flashlight and joked, "Guess the building's asshole it looks." Or Elias is having a sentence. Maya added with a laugh through her voice wavered. But Sarah wasn't laughing. She had been glancing out the window and noticed something unsettling. Despite the blackout, the light in Elias' apartment was on. Not just on, glowing a deep, unnatural red. She didn't say anything then, but the image stayed with her. One evening, Sarah returned home late from work to find the apartment in total darkness. She called out, "Guys, anyone home?" Her voice echoing in the empty hallway. The air felt heavy, oppressive. She found Lily and Maya in the living room, sitting stiffly on the couch. Their faces were pale, and their eyes had a glazed, faraway look. "What's wrong?" Sarah asked, her stomach twisting. Neither of them answered. Then in unison, they slowly turned their heads to look at her.
"He came to visit,"
Maya whispered, her voice flat and emotionless. "Who?" Sarah demanded, but before she could get an answer, the lights flickered back on and her friends seemed to snap out of it. They didn't remember anything, not the darkness, not the conversation, not the eerie synchronicity. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept hearing faint whispers. Too soft to make out but persistent enough to keep her awake. She got up to grab a glass of water and noticed the front door was slightly ajar. Heart pounding, she peeked into the hallway. It was empty. As she turned to close the door, she froze. Standing at the end of the hallway was Elias. His pale face was illuminated by the faint light from the courtyard, and his lips were curled into a predatory smile. "You should really lock your door," he said softly, his voice dripping with mock concern. Sarah slammed the door and locked it, her hands trembling. She didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, she confronted Lily and Maya. "Something's wrong with him," she said. "I think Elias is." "A vampire?" Maya interrupted, her half-tone choking, but her eyes filled with fear. Sarah stared at her. "What are you talking about?" Maya hesitated before pulling out her phone. She had been doing some research. "There's this legend about the building," she said. "They say a man who used to live here in the 1800s was killed after being accused of witchcraft and murder. People claimed he was drinking the blood of the victims. His name was Elias." Lily laughed nervously. "That's ridiculous. It's just a coincidence." But Sarah wasn't so sure. The bruises, the nightmares, the whispers, it all fit. That night, they decided to confront Elias. Armed with crosses, garlic, and a shaky sense of determination, they knocked on his door. He answered almost immediately, as if he had been expecting them. His smile was wider than ever, his teeth unnaturally sharp. "You shouldn't have come," he said, stepping aside to let them in. The girls hesitated but entered, their fear outweighed by their need for answers. The apartment was dark, the windows covered with heavy black curtains. The air was thick with metallic scent of blood. Elias moved with inhuman speed, closing the door behind them. "I was hoping to take my time," he said, his voice cold and hungry, "but it seems you have forced my hand." Before they could react, he lunged. His strength was overwhelming, and his touch was ice cold. Sarah managed to stab him with a wooden stake they had brought, but it only slowed him down. And what came next, they didn't expect that.
"You think you can kill me?"
He hissed, his voice echoing unnaturally.
"I've been here longer than you can imagine, and I will be here long after you're gone."
In the end, only Sarah escaped. She doesn't remember how. Her memories are a blur of blood, screams, and darkness. She never saw Lily or Maya again. To this day, she refuses to speak of what happened in the apartment 4C. But every so often, whenever she passes by the building, she feels his eyes on her, watching, waiting, because Elias never forgets, and he never let go.